What's going on, everybody? My name is Andy. Welcome to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about the 5 things that I hate about my Jeep Wrangler JKU. Now, that being said, hate is a harsh word. I don't know that I specifically hate all these items. There are a few on here that I greatly dislike, or that I would change or have different on the vehicle. But I do want to say, I'm going to do these videos for each one of my vehicles, and it was really hard to come up with 5 and an honorable mention. I do have honorable mentions for each one of them for these vehicles, because I searched high and low whenever I bought these vehicles, and I pretty much got exactly what I wanted. Now, pretty much being the key word here, because you can never find something that is just perfect. You can find something that's near perfect, but you can't never find anything that seems to be just perfect. So today we're going to go over the 5 things that I hate about my Jeep Wrangler JKU. Let's get going. And number 1 on the list is a stiff gas pedal. Now, I have a theory about this. My Jeep TJ that I had before this, that Sean, a subscriber, bought off of me, it had a very light gas pedal. You could hit it and it was just, it would just almost jerk you back in the seat. Not that it had a ton of power and torque, it just had a lot of throttle response. And that gas pedal was very easy to press. This, on the other hand, has a very, very stiff gas pedal. If you had to go on a long trip in this Jeep, and I've read online that a lot of JKUs and JKs have this same issue, I guess you'd say. I don't know if it's an issue. I think it kind of was intended to be like that. I'll get to why that is here in a minute. But I think if you went on a long trip and did not have cruise control, your leg would get pretty tired holding that gas pedal down. And I've actually heard that complaint on forums that I've read online. Now, why do I think they did that? The TJ had such a quick throttle response. I think if you was off-roading and you hit a bump, you'd jerk a lot in the TJ because you'd have such quick throttle response. Now, that's a double-edged sword. It's nice to have that quick throttle response when you need it. When you don't want it, it's kind of a hindrance. Now, I think that is why that Jeep made the JKs like they did with that harder gas pedal. That way, when you're off-road and you're hitting those bumps and stuff like that, you don't slap that gas pedal because it's so easy to push and jerk or cause you to spin out in off-road conditions. That is my opinion. I've not read that, but in my opinion, I think that is why they did it. When you're off-roading, I think that is probably a great thing. When you are driving on the interstate for 8 hours, not so much. Number 2. This so much isn't the Jeep's fault. It is my Jeep's fault, and this is why 5 things I hate about my JKU is these tires. Now, I did a review of these tires earlier on, like a week or so ago, on the channel, and these tires are very, very rough and loud for on-road use. Now, 98% of us drive 98% of the time on road. We're not off-road nowhere near as much as we're driving to work or to school or to the mall or to the beach or wherever it may be. So probably 95 to 98% of the time you are driving on road with these tires. Now, they look awesome. These tires are very rugged. They look great, and I think they're very beastly looking. But as far as the ride goes, they're horrible. And they're loud. And I can't wait to change these, but I don't like buying tires, so I can't bring myself to spend $1,600 or $1,700 counting the spare for all new tires until these wear out. So we're just going to live with it till then. That is number 2 on the list of 5 things I hate about my JKU. Number 3. And that is the Bluetooth connectivity is very slow. This actually really aggravates me. This is probably one of the top things that aggravates me. These were in no rhyme or reason or order or anything like that. This is just 5 things I jotted down. But that is one thing that actually aggravates me a lot. I can pull out of my house and it'll probably take about a mile, mile and a half, maybe even 2 miles before my Bluetooth connects to the phone where I can listen to the radio through the phone. Now, it will connect quicker to make a phone call, but that's probably still a half to 3/4 of a mile before it connects good enough to make a phone call. But it takes forever for it to actually connect to the phone to listen to music on it. Now, I've never had a problem with it not connecting. It is always connected. You know, I've never had an issue like that. But it takes forever for it to do it. This is one of the slowest vehicles I have ever been in for the Bluetooth to connect. And that drives me crazy. I don't know why. I'm always in a hurry. I walk fast. I do stuff fast. I'm just always seem to be in a hurry. And that goes along with my electronic equipment. When I hit the button, I want it there. That's one reason I'm not a big computer fan. I hate for them to wait on them to load up. I don't like to wait for them to turn on. Just like this, I don't want to wait for that to turn on. As soon as I get in a vehicle, I want it to pop up, and that is pretty much how my Tundra is. When I get in my Tundra and I turn on the radio, it's pretty much connected right away. I wish this was the same way. Number 4, vent ring placement. The vent ring placement in this is horrible. I think they have fixed this in the JLs. I've never actually been inside a JL, but from pictures online, it looks like they fixed this. The vent rings, every time I get in, I bump one with my knee, I hit it with my arm, and I'm really anal about how my vent rings are placed. I want the air coming out in a certain way, and it drives me crazy. I don't like people messing with the vent rings in my vehicles, and I do it in this by accident, and it drives me nuts. And then I have to spend the next 10 or 15 minutes trying to get the vent ring placed exactly where I want it, only to screw it up again when I get back out of the vehicle. Now, you would think that I would be smart enough to realize that's going to happen and not do it. But I own more than one vehicle. If this was the only vehicle I owned, I would probably have that subconsciously that, hey, I'm going to hit this. But like I said, I think they did move those up more in a traditional location on the JLs. But this is one thing I don't like about my JKU. Number 5 is at 57,000 miles. This is a big one. It has an oil leak. It isn't bad. It isn't enough for me to have to add oil to the engine. I don't have to do any of that. I don't have to, worry about anything like that. If I take it on a trip, I don't have to worry about, thing leaking enough oil. It doesn't even drip on the ground. But it was enough for me to see it. And that bothers me. At 57,000 miles, that's when I bought it. It had an oil leak prior to that, but I don't know when it started. I just know at 57,000, when I bought it, it had an oil leak. And it is a rear main, which will wind up costing me about $650-ish at a good location. If you take it to the dealership, they want anywhere between $1,000 and $2,000 to fix that. 2 different dealerships had 2 different prices. I don't understand that, but they did. But it has an oil leak at 57,000 miles. Now, I will eventually get this fixed just because that annoys me. I want my vehicle to not have an oil leak. I don't want to have to think about oil dripping on the ground, have to check it ever so often. I know you should check your oil, and I do, but I'm really anal about that, just like the vent rings. And I will check this like once every 2 or 3 days, and it won't have changed at all. So it's not leaking enough to actually worry about, but it still freaks me out a little bit. That's probably the biggest issue with my JKU that I would change. No oil leaks. So I don't know. Now here is the honorable mention, and that is the window switch placement. Now, like I said, if I drove this every single day, I probably wouldn't have this problem. And when I was driving it as a daily driver before I didn't get my title and couldn't get my tags on it, I was getting more used to hitting the window switch in the middle. But now that I've not driven this for about 2 weeks, I'm sure when I get back in this and I pull up to work to scan in, I'm going to reach over to hit the button on the door, and guess what? It ain't going to be there. It's in the console. Now, they put door locks on the doors, which tells me that they could have put the window switch there, incorporated that into the plug that you have to unplug to take the doors off, and everything would have been good to go. Now, the back doors, they could have done the same way. The back door window switches are in the center console. They could have put those on the doors and added those switches. If they didn't want to do that, they could have left the back doors in the cup holder place. That wouldn't have bothered me. There's not a lot of people in the back of the Jeep. And if they were, I'd say, hey, just right beside your foot, hit that window switch. You can roll your window down, or I can do it from up front. But the front doors do have electric door locks in them. So why did they not just go ahead and incorporate that window switch into the doors? That is your honorable mention for 5 things I hate about my Jeep Wrangler JKU. So if you have a Jeep Wrangler, what are some things that you would change about it? I love this vehicle. Like I said, it was 5 things that was hard to come up with, except for the vent rings and the oil leak. Those were pretty easy things to come up with because they really bug me. I was getting used to the window switches, like I said, but I'm sure when I get back in it now, it's gonna be the same problem all over again. But if I drive it long enough, I'll get used to that again. In the comments section, tell me, what are some things you would change about your Jeep? If you could, if you was to design one of these, what design implementations would you put into it to make it a better vehicle? I appreciate you guys watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.